ओके यो राइट ब्रदरले चाहिँ तपाईँको चाहिँ उसको चाहिँ सामानहरू होइन किचनमा प्रयोग गरेको सामानहरू किचनको सामग्रीहरू होइन देख्नुहुन्छ स्टोरी
उहाँले पकाएको भाँडाकुँडाहरू राइट ब्रदरहरूले
हाम्रो अघि सर हुनुहुन्छ।
हजुर आज हामी चाहिँ यो नर्थ क्यारोलाइनाको चाहिँ राइट ब्रदर म्युजियममा आएको छौँ। कहिलेकाहीँ भाग्यमानी फिल पनि हुँदो रहेछ। किनभने एउटा नेपाल रिमोट कन्ट्रीको मान्छे हामी होइन, रिमोट ठाउँको मान्छे र राइट ब्रदरले भूमि उहाँले टेकेको माटोमा उभिन पाउँदा पनि गौरवशाली फिल हुँदो रहेछ। हामी आज हाम्रो गर्न दाइ त उहाँको साथ अनि हाम्रो नेपालबाट आउनुभएको पाहुना हुनुहुन्छ विशेष अतिथि हजुर आजको उहाँलाई पनि विशेष धन्यवाद। र त्यो परको टावर
यो टावरमा चाहिँ भनौँ ग्लाडिएटर र त्यो छ नि त्यो अब त्यतिखेरको प्लेनै भनौँ न, त्यतिखेरको प्लेन त्यो समयको प्लेन चाहिँ त्यो माथि टपमा लगेर चाहिँ
यहाँबाट
त्यहाँ लगेर डाँडामा लगेर त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ ग्लाइडिङ गरेर चाहिँ उडाउने,
त्यहाँबाट ग्लाइडिङ
गरेर उडाएर तपाईँको चाहिँ अनि यहाँ पहिला चाहिँ त्यहाँ ढुङ्गा छ 3-4वटा ढुङ्गा छ त्यहाँ फर्स्ट ल्यान्ड भयो। अनि त्यसपछि आएर फेरि त्यही डाँडामा त्यो ग्लाइडर लगेर बनाएर फेरि सेकेन्ड ढुङ्गामा अनि त्यसै गरेर फोर्थ पर कुनामा छ तपाईँको लास्टमा छ 528 किलोमिटर 28 भने फिटको लामो होइन त्यति हाइटमा उडेको सफल परीक्षण भएको मानिन्छ। यसरी नै तपाईँको चाहिँ आज हामी चढ्ने प्लेनहरू ग्यारेज यो तपाईँको प्रयोगशाला ग्यारेज के उसको तपाईँको चाहिँ बनाउने ठाउँ बनाउने ग्यारेज हो यो चाहिँ उसको सुत्ने ठाउँ वासस्थान तपाईँको चाहिँ। अनि आज हामी यो म्युजियममा थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच।
In this same story, the exact opposite side of the coin exists. Like the old tale of Cinderella, where you have the sweet-tempered girl and the kind of abusive older stepsisters, you find out that rivalry and competition often make for the best successes. Well, guys, I worked really hard on this version. Hope you all enjoy it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once upon a time, our hero brothers in Dayton, Ohio, in the spring of 1900, we're talking about a vacation plan they were thinking of. You know, the guys were thinking of a sportsman's-like retreat on the shores of East North Carolina. Now, in the great story, the guys took a difficult trip down there, and they liked it so much, the guys came back. It's the story of two guys who took the 4 years, and just after that pulled off one of the great miracles of society. It wasn't long after that, just about a handful of years, when they started to get memorial sites all over the place. Of course, they got one here. Since this is where the whole thing happened. They got one in Dayton, Ohio, their hometown. They got one in the UK, and they also got one in France. You know, the brothers of Dayton were the biggest stars in the world for a little while. And of course, what they got here was truly special. On December 17, 1932, at the top of that very hill, Wright was here. He was an active participant in the dedication ceremony of his own monument, and that's the only time it's ever been done. And where he stood, you can imagine how proud his family was. He was at the corner piece, that section that looks over at us, and he had all of his family around him, and there was always one word above his head that seems to really make sense today. It said genius. How many of you guys want to see yourself as genius? That's where you go after I'm done. It's a wonderful picture. You'll never forget your trip. Of course, when he was up there, it was in commemoration of the conquest of the air, it reads, by brothers Wilbur and Orville Wright, conceived by genius and achieved by dauntless resolution and unconquerable faith. But it's the second sentence, conceived by genius. And it makes it seem like it wasn't really the brothers' idea to do this whole thing at all. A couple centuries ago, we might have told that kind of story. It would make sense. It was understood then that kind of genius was a supernatural thing. Genius was kind of one of the things that lives up in heaven, along with truth and clarity. And that genius could only come down to the earth by thought. And the thought would look for the mind that's making itself ready to take on the next great advancement. They say that the genius was ultimately the great gift giver of mankind, always giving us some new piece of information. They say that the piety, when he's imbued with the kiss of the genius, often has this kind of imperturbable good sense and strong imagination. A story like this, like this kind of the picture of things that were impossible. But it seemed like the artist and the